Buenos dias, amigos y amigas, and welcome to beautiful Baja, California. Ever since I got involved in van life back in April of 2019, I've always had the dream to come here to Baja, California during the winter months, get away from the cold weather in Pennsylvania, and to enjoy the sunshine and the peaceful beaches here and the Mexican culture. And let me tell you, this has lived up to every expectation. And the weather is absolutely beautiful every single day. They don't get any rain this time of year, and temperatures are around 82 degrees during the daytime with a nice breeze in the late afternoon, and it gets calm in the evenings and very calm in the mornings. So what's it like to van life in the Baja? Let me tell you, this is a van lifer's dream. So you can come to the beach like this and pay only $10 US to camp overnight. And you're just feet from the water. Nice rocky pebbly beach. You don't even have to air down your tires. Vendors come through selling camarones or shrimp and fish, fresh vegetables. Sometimes they'll come through selling Mexican blankets and hats, artwork that they've made. You don't even have to leave if you don't want to. It's absolutely stunning scenery. We just go hop from beach to beach. The wildlife is plentiful. You can see whales, dolphins, manta rays. If you go snorkeling, there's plenty of starfish around and stingrays in the waters here. It's great to go out paddleboarding or kayaking, hiking, you name it. This is the place for van life's dream. If you're new to the channel, please click that like and subscribe button down below, the van life icon, and just sign up with your email. It takes only a few seconds and it'll really help out our channel a lot. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoy the show. We crossed the border on January the 25th, crossing at Mexicali East, which is more friendly for big rigs. They have wider spaces to get through there. And then you stop immediately after your inspection and walk back 50 meters to the office building there for immigration and fill out your FMM or tourist visa cards. Costs $35 a person. We drove through the town of Mexicali and then headed south on Route 5 through the mountains along the Sierra El Mayor to the town of San Felipe, a couple hours drive. Here we are entering the town of San Felipe, where we stop to gas up and go to a Calimax to get some groceries. And this is what about $17 worth of US dollars worth of groceries got us. So a pretty good bargain there. And then we got our first campsite at San Felipe. Basically just a cinder block lot that's enclosed and has a beachfront parking that you can camp right here, right along the beach on the Sea of Cortez. We walked into town and walked along the Malecon. Malecon is just like a boardwalk, kind of where there's a bunch of shops and restaurants and the beach, and it overlooks the Sea of Cortez and the Gulf of California there. Got some lunch along the Malecon, and then just did a little bit of window shopping here. This gives you kind of a flavor for the types of things that they sell. And every town has one of these colorful signs, so we always like to take a picture of the sign. A little bit more views of the Malecon. San Felipe is a very small town. It's basically a fisherman's town, so there's not a very large Malecon there, but it is a good place to stop off on your drive south along Route 5. This is the view from our campsite. And sunset at our... I don't know about you, but I think when you're in the Baja, you have to get up every morning when you're on the Sea of Cortez and see the sunrise. It's just absolutely spectacular. Well, we left San Felipe heading south on Route 5, again through the mountainous regions along the Sea of Cortez to our left and the mountains to our right. Went through the valley of the gigantus cactuses, used the cardon cacti, which are native only to Baja California Sur, and Sonora and Mexico. They grow faster than the saguaros in Arizona desert and are more branched at the base. They also grow taller. So we went through a giant forest of these cacti on our way south toward Bahia de Los Angeles. One of the things about the Baja is the roads are in really bad shape, so there's lots of potholes. And there's also things called topes, which are speed bumps that kind of come up unexpectedly on you as you arrive near a town, and you better slow down for these, or these are going to really rattle your drawers inside the van. So here we are arriving at the Bahia de Los Angeles and pulling into the Siete Filos Cafe and Campo Archelon, where we got this nice site right on the water. Campo Archelon has everything you need. It has a cafe there, has Wi-Fi, has hot showers, and they even put on the Eagles Commanders NFC Championship game for us, which made me incredibly happy. So we just sat out in the late afternoon and watched the pelicans diving into the water, doing their fishing. It's very mesmerizing and relaxing. Temperatures were in the upper 70s, lower 80s for most of the day. Quite a difference from where we were back in Pennsylvania, where they're having an unusually cold winter. These are just some views from our actual campsite as the sun was going down in the golden hour. Views of the Bay of Los Angeles and the Gulf of California on the eastern side of the Baja Peninsula. Plenty of seabirds there, great herons, egrets, pelicans, seagulls, smaller shorebirds. If you go in the water, though, you do have to watch for stingrays. So you do the stingray shuffle, where you just kind of shuffle your feet and kind of scare them away, so you don't actually accidentally step on one and get stung by one, because that can be really painful. Beautiful sunset here in the Bahia de Los Angeles. So this is the next day, and here is the view out of our living room window. So our van is parked that close to the water that we can actually see the water and the kayakers and the paddleboarders and the pelicans. We just packed up and drove a little bit up the road to a free campsite called Playa La Gringa. This is a drone shot of the stones that they put on top of the hill that says, "Welcome to La Gringa." So this is a boondocking site here, so no amenities whatsoever, but you can camp for free on that beach right down there. Beautiful views of the Bay of Los Angeles. Some dinner for us. Have some fresh fruit juice there that we bought at the Calimax. I think she's making some spaghetti tonight. Again, living room window view, and here we are eating dinner. Typical evening of van life in the van there, sitting opposite each other at the table. And we watch the sunset. Another beautiful. Just a little taste of our morning routine here after washing at the sink, which we do when we don't have hot showers in the campground. If we're boondocking, then we just do a little bit of hair maintenance and open the side window. Get the beautiful morning view in there. Have breakfast with this kind of living room view. It's absolutely amazing. You just can't beat that feeling. Then we headed west from the Bahia de Los Angeles across Route 1 to the Pacific side, and through this giant forest of cacti again. I flew the drone here in the middle of the desert. And you can see how potholed the roads are here. You have to really slow down or you're going to get into trouble. We crossed at a military checkpoint. Every so often they have military checkpoints. This is one at the border of Baja California Sur, or the southern state of Baja California. As we enter the town of Guerrero Negro, we stopped at the Tacos El Mule for some fish tacos, some of the best fish tacos in all the Baja Peninsula at this little food truck. Then we checked into the Malarimo RV Resort, and for under $20 we got this nice space with hookup, a little palapa, a place to hang our laundry towels, and hang in the hammock. The next morning we took a tour with them, went out past some of the largest open pit salt mines in the world, and took a boat out to see the gray whales. So the gray whales migrate down here to the Hoja de Libre Lagoon off the coast of Guerrero Negro from the Bering Strait, where they spend their summers. They come down here in the months of December through February to give birth to their young and to teach their young how to survive in the wilderness. And if you take the boat out about a half hour out into the bay and you just stop the engines, some of these whales are going to come right up to the boat. So at the time we were there were about 150 gray whales in the bay. That population reaches up to 1,000 a couple weeks later in mid to late February. And they're very playful. You can touch them and you can scratch their backs. Just don't touch the fins or the mouth area. You can see how close they come right up to the boat. They're very curious creatures, and they like to interact with human beings and be scratched and have those barnacle itches on their backs taken care of. And they'll spout right in front of you and create like a little rainbow of mist. And sometimes they'll slap at you with their flippers and splash you. They're very playful creatures. It's just absolutely amazing to be so up close and personal with these gentle giants of the Pacific. Truly an incredible experience. And so we paid $55 a person for this tour. It was a 4-hour tour, so there's a shuttle ride about a half hour, then you take the boat out for a half hour, and you're out in the water with the whales for maybe 2 hours, then you come back in and you have lunch, bag lunch out there, and then they shuttle you back to the hotel. So Guerrero Negro is known for 3 things. So first, it's known for the largest population of gray whales in the wintertime. And it's also known for a large nesting osprey colony and for the largest open pit salt mines in the world. Here we are having a fancy dinner at the Malarimo RV Resort. Then it was back on the road the next morning, and we're headed east on Route 1, across the potholed road through the desert to a small town in the central Baja Peninsula called San Ignacio, which is in a palm oasis. And here we are at the main military checkpoint. This is the one that usually gives gringos a bunch of trouble as they check through your van and try to extort bribes from you. No problems for us. We entered the small town of San Ignacio and went to see the mission on the main plaza there. These missions date back to the original Camino Real back in the 1500s, some of them. Here's the small little town plaza, so just some colorful shops and old architecture in the main square. They have 3 wooden crosses. We got lunch at a place called Victor's. I had some shrimp ceviche. Then we checked out the free museum nearby. This is the place where you can arrange tours to go see the cave paintings. They have some of the oldest and best preserved cave paintings in the world, over 3,000 years old. In the afternoon, after checking into our eco campsite just across the bridge in San Ignacio, we rented a kayak for 100 pesos, which is about $5, and went out in the lagoon. Got to see some great herons, some cattle along the shoreline, a bunch of other kayakers and paddleboarders out there, some egrets. Peaceful way to spend the afternoon. And of course the colorful San Ignacio sign. This is our campsite, and for about $20 a night, we have this beautiful campsite right on the water with a hammock. And the next morning we headed back on the road on 1 East and past the Tres Virgenes mountain range. This is a volcanic mountain range called the Three Virgins, to the Sea of Cortez side in the town of Santa Rosalia. Santa Rosalia is an old mining village that was owned by the French. And here is the parochial church there, which was designed by Gustave Eiffel, the same guy that designed the Eiffel Tower. You can see some resemblance. He actually won a competition for this design of the church here. And because it's a French town, of course they're going to have a French bakery. So Jessica went to the bakery for some breakfast and got us some nice crumb buns and stuff like that. It was so good we went back for more. Then we headed on the road, continuing south along Route 1 from Santa Rosalia in the direction of the town of Mulegé. Here in Mulegé, I went to the dentist. I had a routine cleaning. Never even asked my name. I got it on an hour's notice, and they only charged me $30. Mulegé is also an oasis, a palm oasis. Absolutely stunning views here from the mission. And again, I was able to fly the drone here at the mission and get a little bit of video of the surrounding area. Then we headed south from Mulegé on Route 1 and along the Sea of Cortez to the beautiful Bahia de Concepcion. This is a beautiful bay in the Sea of Cortez where there's a number of wonderful seashore campgrounds. This is the first one we stayed at, called Playa Santa Spec. It's very popular with van lifers, and for only 200 pesos, which is $10 a night, you can camp here along this beautiful water. Gotta watch the stingrays in the water. Do the stingray shuffle. Shuffle your feet so you don't accidentally step on them and get one of the stings on your ankle or something like that. They have a restaurant there with Wi-Fi, and it's just a nice place to spend the night. Next day we went farther south along the Bahia Concepcion and stayed at Playa Escondida. So our goal was to test out all the little beaches. These are only a couple miles apart from each other. This one, the road in was a little more rocky, so you couldn't put a big RV in there. They had a hidden bar called the La Escondida Bar, where they had happy hour every night. We had a pina colada there. And we really enjoyed the community here at Playa Escondida. There were some long-term people that lived here for quite a while over the winter months, and there was a nice community. We had a campfire on the beach with them, and it was a really friendly vibe. I had to get up for sunrise on Playa Escondida, and the man came through with his car selling shrimp and carrot bread, so we bought some of that. Watched the paddleboarders out there in the beautiful calm bay. Got some beautiful pictures of the herons here. This is absolute paradise here. I mean, this is van life living to the fullest. This is what I always dreamed about. Just look at this beach. It's like so unreal. It's amazing. The blue and the turquoise waters. So we drove south and along the Bahia Concepcion, past Playa El Coyote to Playa El Requesón, which is on this little sandbar here. And again, for 250 pesos or $12.50 a night, you can camp right there in the sandbar, just inches away from the water, and it's absolutely splendid. Jessica's cooking up some of that shrimp that we bought this morning. Looks really good, smells good. Shrimp fresh from the vendors, right off the bay this morning. Cooking it up. And then the next day we headed a little farther south, paprika, went inland a little bit, and arrived at the town of Laredo. Laredo is one of 4 Pueblo Magico towns in the Baja. These are towns that are designated for their history and cultural significance. And here we are at the mission in Laredo. This is part of the Camino Real. And the main square there is called Plaza Juarez. City Hall is here, and there's a monument to the Aztecs. There's the Laredo sign along the Malecon. So we walked along the Malecon and had lunch there. It's a really beautiful Malecon here, Laredo. Walking up toward the marina in that direction, and they have a bunch of palapas there on the beach. This is in the main plaza. This is the City Hall. Inside City Hall, there's all sorts of beautiful artwork and murals. So some of these murals tell the history of the Baja Peninsula. The El Camino. We went to the bank for the first time here in Laredo. And then we stayed at a place that was within walking distance of downtown, but not exactly downtown, called Elena's Campground. We spent 3 nights there. We loved Elena and her husband Fidenzio so much. They arranged for us to have a whale watching tour with a captain named Raul. So it was just us and Raul. It cost about $350 US for this. We went out in his little fishing boat, and there are 3 islands there: Isla de Coronado, Isla del Carmen, and Isla de Zante, which is the dancing island. And we saw a bunch of humpback whales that morning. Still waters early in the morning. You get that beautiful reflection of the pelican. Saw a pod of dolphins out there. Nice and calm waters. There's another tail of a humpback. And then we went around the Isla de Zante and looked at some of the hidden coves. There was an arch rock there. There we saw a whale breaching in the distance. Gonna jump a second time, just in any second now. There he goes. And then on the way back in, a pelican decided to take up residence on our motor. Back in the town of Laredo, we went to Star Fitness, a fitness club that just opened in January. Got our work. On our next day in Laredo, we took a day trip out to the town of San Javier. Quaint little town, cute little town out there, and a nice mountain drive on the way out. Get to San Javier, and they have the oldest mission in all of Baja California Sur. Beautiful historic street. Just imagine the amount of effort that went into building this mission back in the 1500s. And then behind the mission, they have an olive tree that's many, many hundreds of years old, and it's all twisted. A guy there told us about some cave paintings, so we took this dirt bumpy road with a large tope and some washouts about 10 miles out. I had to go through a water crossing. They say that these difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations, and we were certainly hoping that that was the case today. So we finally made it out there. We were about to give up. We couldn't find it up in the hills there, and then there was a sign, and you pull into this place that had some Wi-Fi for sale, and they also would give you a guided tour of the cueva, or the cave paintings. Had to hike up this huge hill in the heat of the day, and man, that was strenuous to see these cave paintings with our guide. Inside the cave, they have some stones where they ground flour, and you can see the charcoal stains on the roof of the cave. Really wasn't that spectacular of a cave painting compared to some of the other ones area that are older, But still back in Laredo, we decided to get some dinner on the Malecon. Stopped at this food truck because there were so many teenagers there having a good time, and it was really good tacos. Unfortunately, the next day we had to leave our campground and head south along Route 1, a couple hours to the town of La Paz. La Paz is the capital city of Baja California Sur. And here we stayed downtown in what we affectionately referred to as the gravel pit, right in the center of town. It was centrally located. We walked to the Mission, the main square, and the Museum of Art with the street lamps, and then down to the Malecon. The Malecon stretches for miles here, and you just get to look at these beautiful sculptures and eat at the restaurants there and see people playing volleyball or running or working out on the park course. We had a really nice dinner there, stuffed ourselves silly, and had enough leftovers for lunch the next day. A golden hour on the Malecon, and then sunset, and then we walked back to the gravel pit. And the next morning we drove north of La Paz to an overlook at the radio antenna here, climbed up this steep hill and got beautiful views of the most famous beach in all of Mexico called Balandra Beach. You only can get into Balandra Beach from 8 to 10 or 8 to 12, and from 1 to 5. We got the 1 to 5 time slot, had to wait in that line there of traffic to get in, see the famous Mushroom Rock. And then here on the sand, all these things that look like piles of poop, they actually are poop. They're poop from a worm that buries itself in the sand. The worm is maybe about a foot long, apparently. Didn't see any of the worms, but saw plenty of their little poop mounds. Balandra Beach is famous. It's Instagram famous. Everybody goes here, takes their picture at Mushroom Rock, or lying in the shallow sand in the water there. They only let in about 450 people a day, or at one of those time slots. And you climb up a hill on Balandra Beach and get beautiful views down to the beach from up top of the hill. It's an easy climb up this hill. And we drove even farther north of La Paz to the Playa Tecolote, a very famous van lifing beach. They have a restaurant here, but it also gets very windy here, and sometimes the water can come up and vehicles can get stuck. So we stayed at a different beach instead. The next morning we took a boat tour with Isla Diamante, went out to see Balandra Beach, saw some dolphins, went around the Espiritu Santo Island, saw some frigate birds, saw an oyster farm, saw this arch rock here, saw a bunch of sea lions. And then the main highlight of the tour was that you could go snorkeling for about 10 to 15 minutes with the sea lions if you wanted to. Justy brought her own snorkel equipment there, her own wetsuit, and she jumped in and decided to do it. And I waited on the boat. We went around the corner as they swam through the arch with the sea lions. That way we got the best of both worlds. So I got to get her videotaped in the water there with the sea lions, and she got to see them up close, and I also got to see them on the rocks. On the way back, we saw a bunch of manta rays. And then they stop at a beach here for you to have lunch. They give you a bunch of ceviche and a salad and chips and ham and cheese sandwiches. And everybody's all happy on the way back, singing some songs in Spanish, some traditional Mexican songs, as we pulled back into port. So this trip ran from about 11 o'clock to about 5 o'clock, and it was very reasonably priced. And here we are back at the port. There's the oyster shell with the pearl in it, and a shark on the Malecon, and then sunset. We stayed outside La Paz at the Maranatha RV Park, and this was probably our favorite campground. Did our laundry, watched the Super Bowl, Next day we went back into La Paz to the shrine for Senora Nuestra Guadalupe, and then we headed down the coast to the kite surfing towns of La Ventana and El Sargento. Unfortunately, the wind was not blowing this day. Usually it's blowing massively here, and so there weren't too many surfers out. I only saw that one there, but we had a very lovely lunch. Got on the bumpy road south, went to the town of El Triunfo, which was an old silver mining town. Have a beautiful church there. And then we got this hillside view of the town of San Antonio. Went farther south along the coast to another surfing town called Los Barrios. And again, no wind, so we headed south to the Tropic of Cancer Information Center. You can see the artificial line there for the Tropic of Cancer, going through the now defunct closed information center. And it was a really long day of driving. We headed south through these mountains to the town of San Jose del Cabo, where we stayed the night in the Hampton Inn. Next morning we get up and went into the main square of San Jose del Cabo, looked at the mission and all the stands there selling their wares, all the art, really colorful, vibrant, artsy scene. And the Los Cabos area, which includes San Jose del Cabo and some beaches along the way, and then at the other end, Cabo San Lucas at the southernmost tip of the Baja Peninsula. Here we are on Playa Palmilla, one of the beaches along Los Cabos corridor. Lots of hotels and golf courses and stuff, as you might imagine. Here's another beach. This one was Jessica's favorite beach here. We spent about 2 hours each beach just to kind of get a feel for the different beaches and what they had to offer. Then we went into Cabo San Lucas around dinner time and walked around the marina area. It wasn't quite as touristy as I thought it was. There was a cruise boat in town and lots of activity in the marina with small fishing boats going out to Arch Rock, etc. Lots of boats, big marina. And then we spent the night in the parking lot at the Playa Santa Maria, which is shown here in this nice little kind of tucked away cove. Beautiful boondocking site in the parking lot there. They had water to wash yourself off. They had bathrooms, and they had trash collection, porta potties. Nice place to spend the night with a couple other overlanders. Beautiful sunset there on the beach. Well, here was sunrise on the Playa Santa Maria. And then we went back to Cabo San Lucas, and one of the things you can do there is you can take this hike up Mount Solmar from the dog training center. So every day except Saturday, Enrique here with about 15 dogs will lead a hike, and we had about 80 people on this hike on his private property up to the top of Mount Solmar, which has this overlook of Land's End and the beautiful views of the city of Cabo San Lucas. After that, we went back to the marina and we paid about $15 a person to go out on a boat tour and see Playa del Amor, or the Beach of Love, and on the other side is Playa del Divorcio, or the Beach of Divorce. And of course, at Land's End, we had to see El Arco, or Arch Rock. We then left the touristy Cabo San Lucas and headed north along Route 19 on the Pacific side to the town of Todos Santos. Todos Santos turned out to be our most favorite town on the entire trip. Very artsy town. Has this beautiful church and the rebuilt mission here in the downtown square. Lots of artwork everywhere you look. And lots of shops, very touristy. It's kind of an upscale type place. We really loved it. Very cute, very quaint. All these sculptures here for sale. And the Hotel California, although this is not the one that inspired the Eagles song. We had lunch and tequila sunrise, and then we went camping at the van camp in Todos Santos, and went to the beach, Playa de Tortugas, where they release the sea turtles. So they have a number of acres of beachfront property where they will collect the turtle eggs and they'll hatch them. And after 53 days, the eggs will hatch and they'll have these little turtles. And the day that they hatch, they will release them. They had about 50 of them to release today. And so they release them right after the sun sets into the Pacific Ocean. Put them on the beach there and let the waves come in and wash them away and take them out into the ocean. It's quite a moving experience. And right at sunset, and then after we left there and drove back to the van camp, it was a full moon rising. Next day, went to Los Cerritos and to Eminem Beck's Cerritos Beach Dogs Cafe, where he had some coffee and empanada. And then went back to the town of Todos Santos. Just enjoyed it so much there. Went shopping, bought some pottery here at this store. Look at that beautiful buildings in Todos Santos. All sorts of amazing artwork and shops. Really, really quaint town. Could easily move here. Nice theater here. They have productions that draw quite a large crowd. Had some tacos in the street. Here's a restored sugar mill. It was known for sugar mills back in the day. And we went back to La Paz and went to the Museum of Art. And we found out that it was Carnival starting that night in La Paz. And so we booked another night at the Gravel Pit in downtown La Paz so that we could hike out after dark and go down to see Carnival. So here's the Malecon all blocked off for pedestrian traffic only for the next 3 nights for Carnival. They have rides, they have food stands, they have games, and lots of different stages. Going back after dark, starting to come to life. And we just went from one stage to the next, listened to the music, watched the Mexican dancing, had a good time. We spent the next night just a little farther north on the Baja Concepcion at Playa El Coyote. Spent one night there, absolutely stunning views. And then the next day we went back to our favorite, or one of our favorites, Playa Santa Spec, and we spent 2 nights there. After spending a lovely 7 days at different beaches along the Baja Concepcion, We then drove north to Mulegé and Santa Rosalia, and then headed west through San Ignacio to the town of Guerrero Negro on the Pacific. On Sunday the 23rd, we went out on the Ojo de Libre with Baja Magic, a different tour operator, to see the gray whales. Saw lots of spy hopping today, and whales came right up to the boat, but we weren't able to touch any today. It was still a magical day out on the ocean. After exactly a month in the Baja Peninsula, we took the bumpy potholed roads back across from Guerrero Negro to San Felipe, and then dodged some more potholes north as we crossed at the Mexicali border back into the U.S. They say that difficult roads always lead to beautiful destinations, and this is exactly what we experienced as we created so many memories and new friendships along the Baja California Peninsula. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of This Fantastic Life. Please click that like and subscribe button and click the notifications bell for our upcoming trips. Until next time, happy travels.